Chapter 14, text 13. Somebody wants to read? Okay, I'll read. Aprakasho pravriddhischa pramado moha eva cha tamasi etani jayante vivridhe kurunandana. When there is an increase in the mode of ignorance, O son of Kuru, darkness, inertia, madness, and illusion are manifested. Yada sattve pravartetu pralayam yati dehabrit tadottam vadam lokan amalan pratipadyate. When one dies in the mode of goodness, he attains to the pure, higher planets of the great sages. So here we are seeing that Krishna, first, he defines what are the three modes of nature and what are their qualities and how they influence our consciousness. Now, Krishna is going into what happens when we die in a certain state of consciousness influenced by a certain mode of nature. So starting with, again, Sattvic, Krishna is saying that one who is in Sattvic mode leaves his body in the Sattva Guna, that they attain higher planets. So Srila Prabhupada is giving here like Brahma Loka, Jana Loka. So these are the planets they can enjoy. The word Amalan is significant. It means free from the modes of passion and ignorance. So pure goodness is what's being talked about. Now, our consciousness is not pure anything, right? It's not pure passion, pure ignorance, or pure goodness. So what happens generally is like how an artist, they take multiple colors, mix them up, and they create different colors. Like with the RGB, right? You can take red, blue, green, RGB, red, green, blue, I guess. You can mix and match that to 16 million colors. That's what the LEDs are able to do on the TV, right? So each LED is capable of, they're just three colors in permutation combination are able to come up with 16 million colors or more. Now, the point is, similarly, the three modes of material nature and different combinations and permutations. So let's say I am right now 10% sattvic, 20% rajasic, and 70% tamasic, right? So I'll probably want to fall asleep, or I'll be in a very dangerous state of mind, hurting people, or I'm very lazy, right? That's what my mode of nature is at that given time. So when we see ourselves that way, right, when we analyze ourselves that way, we can see that it's always a combination. It's never pure evil, all ignorance. I mean, maybe in some cases, or pure sattvic, right? It's a combination. So Krishna is saying the pure sattvic, amalan, that means unalloyed, right? Unalloyed sattvic. In that case, one attains very high planetary systems. And there are impurities in the material world, but the mode of goodness is the purest form of existence in the material world. There are different kinds of planets for different kinds of living entities. Those who die in the mode of goodness are elevated to the planets where great sages and great devotees live. So interestingly enough, Prabhupada did not mention Swargaloka. He mentioned Brahmaloka and Janaloka, right? So there's Brahmaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, like that, Maharloka and others. And then comes the Swargaloka, and then there is us, the Bhumandala, our area. So Prabhupada is talking about Brahmaloka and Janaloka, the topmost planets, planet of Lord Brahma, and right beneath that. So Sattvic people go to that planet. Because if you see the Devatas, the way they behave, it's not purely Sattvic, right? There is quite a bit of lust, greed, sometimes envy also, right? All of those things we see happening in the interactions that the Devatas have with each other, like the Kuveras, Nala Kuvera, Managriva, son of Kuvera. They are demigods and they were bathing naked with girls. And when, Narad Muni walks by, the girls are covering themselves up, but Nalakuvara and Manigruva were so drunk, they didn't even care. They were just standing there naked, and they were cursed to become trees in on this planet, Vrindavan. So like that, you see Indra, getting lusty, Indra getting insecure. So if you see Swargaloka, there the demigods, it's not sattvic that their mood is. Having said that, when you take Devata versus Asura, Asuras are tamasic, Devatas are considered more on the sattvic platform, but they're not Shuddha Sattva. Right, they're more of the sattvic side with some changes here and there. So that's the beauty of it. So because it's material, you can't be purely sattvic. There's always sometimes a combination of tama and raja that comes in. Is this making sense, or am I just going in circles?
Yes, Rohit, it makes sense.
I just want to see you guys, every other people also, if you can give me a thumbs up that's making sense. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I'm not going in circles, that it doesn't make sense. Okay. So what happens is, so when you're having material modes of nature, right, there's always an option for combination permutation. So it's not always purely sattvic. So that's where we see the devatas, although mostly sattvic, they're great personalities. They've done amazing sattva guna activities over many lifetimes to achieve those positions of Chandra, Surya, Varuna, Indra, and all of those personalities, right? But even more so, one has to do to accomplish the role of Lord Brahma. Like you have to have perfect varnashram dharma, right? You have to follow perfect varnashram dharma for 100 lifetimes to be Lord Brahma. so that's even higher, because Brahma Loka. So Swarga Loka, we see that there are ups and downs here and there. Okay. So those are like, so when one dies in mode of goodness, he attains the pure higher planets of great sages. That's why it's called great sages, not devatas. 14.15. Somebody wants to read? Otherwise, you have to tolerate my horrible Sanskrit. Okay. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangisu jayate tatha pralinas tamasi mudha yonishu jayate. When one dies in the mode of passion, he takes birth among those engaged in fruitive activities. And when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in the animal kingdom. Whoa, right? If one is in the mode of ignorance when dying, then one will be born in the animal kingdom. Because that's what animals are like. They're highly on the ignorance form. What is ignorance? Ignorance means unaware of the spiritual reality. So as you see, the spiritual consciousness goes down as you go down the modes. In Sattva Guna, you're the most spiritually awake in the material consciousness. Rajaguna, you're less awake, more covered. Tamaguna, you're completely covered, just like an animal. So when one behaves like an animal, we can see that, you know what, this person is in Tamaguna. And so animalistic tendencies are rewarded with animal life, right? So, for example, somebody likes to sleep for many hours. So they're better off in a bear body, in a body of a polar bear, perhaps, hibernate for 6 months, stay away from for 6 months, like Kumbhakarna, right? So people who like to sleep a lot, people who like to eat meat a lot, maybe better off being in a tiger body, right, than being in a human body. So they can, enjoy their propensities in the bodies that are more specialized for those kinds of propensities. Now, this should not be seen as a reward/punishment kind of scenario. It's not, right? It is basically what is that we want. According to that, there is a particular body. Like, for example, if you want to go rock climbing, there's a particular kind of, attire we have to take on. If you want to go to the moon, we have to take on a, spacesuit. So similarly, if we are aspiring to be animal-like, then it's better to be in an animal body where one can fulfill those desires in a much better way than one can in a human form. So it is not a fear of God, trying to inculcate fear of God in people, not that, because that's what the Abrahamic religions teach us. Fear God. We say love God, right? And this loving God who has created the system is very loving. It's rewarding towards whatever our propensities is. According to that, we are given the kind of rebirth. Now, again, like I said this morning, for those of you attended, if you are in this class, don't worry. You're not going to have an animal birth. You're not going to have to go to hell or lower planets. You have started studying the Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna says in chapter 2, text 40, Swalpam apyasahi dharmasya trayato mahato bhayat. Right? A slight movement in this direction, and the greatest fear goes away. What is that slight movement in what direction? Slight movement in the direction of attachment towards Krishna, which automatically leads to detachment from Maya. Attachment to Krishna, detachment from Maya. So you don't have to try hard to detach yourself from Maya. That's what Gyanis do. That's what, Ashtanga yogis do. They try very hard, focus their mind to detach themselves from matter and material things. As devotees, we simply attach ourselves to Krishna's prasadam, Krishna's kirtan, Krishna's form as a deity, Krishna katha, and automatically, this is so attractive. At least initially it's not attractive, but eventually we develop that attraction for Krishna consciousness that eventually our material desires seem futile compared to the spiritual reality. So we get more attached to Krishna and detached naturally from Maya. So when we get attached to Krishna, natural outcome is we will get detached from Maya. Not like we get detached only then we can attach to Krishna. It's not a double work we have to do. We simply have to connect Krishna in our lives, right? What we eat, what we earn, what we meditate upon, what we do, yat karoshi, yat asnasi. So Krishna says, whatever you're doing, whatever you're eating, whatever tapasya you're doing, just do it for me. If you do it for me, you'll always be in my consciousness, and you'll never be lost to me, and I'll never be lost to you. So Krishna is in your heart, and you're in Krishna's heart. That's a very mystical, loving exchange that we have with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're never lost to Krishna, and Krishna is never lost to you. So moving from this, may I ask Neera Mataji to read 14.16? If not, then Prayash.
I'm horrible at Sanskrit, Prabhuji, but I'll still try.
You can't be worse than me.
I am actually, but yeah, I'll try. Okay. Bhagavad Gita Chapter 14, text 16. Karmanaha sukrais saha sadvikam nirmalyam phalam rajasas tu phalam dukham ajnanam tamasa phalam.
Very nice.
The result of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mood of goodness, but actions done in the mood of passion result in misery, and action performed in the mood of ignorance result in foolishness.
The results of pious action is pure and is said to be in the mode of goodness. So pure intention. When we do something, and that means pure intention means not having a personal agenda, but doing it because the right thing to do. I pay taxes because it's the right thing to do. I help somebody cross the street because it's the right thing to do. Not because I want name, fame, glory, I'll take a selfie. Oh, look, I'm doing charity. I'm doing charity because it's the right thing to do. I'm earning. I'm the only ashram where earning is allowed, right? Brahmacharis don't earn. Vanaprasthis don't earn. Sannyasis don't earn. Only grihasthas earn. So it's my duty to do charity for the other ashrams. It's not something to take selfie about, right? I mean, it's okay to take selfies. It's not saying you shouldn't, but there's the intention, glorification, right? But pure intention, sattva guna means pure intention. I have no agenda. I'm doing it because the right thing to do. I don't have to go publicize it to everyone. Rajasic action, it is said, action done in the mode of passion results in misery. Why? Because it is, the nature is such, when we elbow people out of the way, when it's competing, it's selfish, it is constantly envy, it's acting, envy is your fuel, then guess what? You end up harming yourself and harming others. Temporary victory might be there. So the way it is explained is that sattva guna is karva or bitter at the beginning, and it is sweet at the end, because it's hard to do sattvic activities, but the results are always pure and positive. For example, if you're a leader and you do the right things, you're a parent, you might have to, correct your child's behavior. Initially, they might not appreciate. Eventually, they will appreciate. Eventually, they will thank you for it. Hopefully, if they're thoughtful enough. So, same way, sattvic activities, even initially difficult, eventually they're rewarding. Rajasic activities, initially they're very easy. Let me do it now. Kal hoga dekha jayega. Jo hoga dekha jayega, right? Kind of an attitude. Initially it's rewarding. Eventually it is harmful. It's miserable. So for example, people who are working very, very hard because they want to buy that, material desire, whatever that is, the BMW, the beach house, the private jet, or whatever it is, right? What happens? They get detached from their families. The family is not getting enough time. They might not be able to, invest in the spiritual life much. And most importantly, they're hurting their health by going beyond what they're capable of. And they're constantly in stress mode. Oh, my friends are going ahead of me. There's always this competition and comparison, which is causing this unnecessary pressure. One loses hair, one loses health. And by the time they're 35 or 40, already they're having, so many pills and so many things. And then all those effects of those pills are coming in the 50s and 60s. And before you know, they're living a very sick life, having worked very hard, maybe successful materially, but not having the health, the emotional or the physical health to enjoy it, right? So the Rajasic bhav, where we are temporarily looking at things in a myopic way, right now, right this moment, I want to succeed, right this moment, let me push people out of the way. And by the way, this happens in so-called religious organizations also. I see so much power politics happening, even in our own organization, where people, although have come for Krishna consciousness, get swayed by power and position and controlling mindset. And before you know, you're in the lap of Maya, right? Because she's very powerful. She keeps things clean. She wants devotees only to go back, those who are pure in intention. So I've seen over the years in ISKCON also, many people rise to great positions, doing great service, but because of this controlling mindset, the mode of passion mindset, there eventually they find it boring and they move on. They're no more in bhakti. They find something else, something else, something else. And before you know, even at the age of 80, they're just questioning everything and they're finding faults in everything and not able to find an anchor to hold on to, right? So it's important that we monitor ourselves, that we are not falling prey to mode of passion, right? And then coming to mode of ignorance, Krishna is saying that actions in the mode of ignorance, or tamasic, tamaguna, the action from the mode of ignorance results in foolishness. So mudha is a light way of calling, something idiotic or foolish. What it basically means, foolish from a spiritual angle, it's actually spiritual suicide in one sense, right? Mode of ignorance. So when one is taking drugs or alcohol or any of those dark activities, harming others, harming one's own body, harming one's own mind, or harming other living entities, it is karma wise, one is definitely going to get back, And lifestyle wise, it's not a very nice lifestyle to have, to be in those situations, right? Initially, again, it might seem like, oh, this is nice, it's not so bad, everybody else is doing, like weed, right? Marijuana, it's a very common thing in our generation, my generation, and the generation below. uh, as if it's not such a bad thing. Everybody is like, smoke up, dope up, and all that. uh, but then you see, physically, you can see the difference. You can see they're losing memory. You can see they're losing their ability, productivity. Sometimes even the ability to become a father or mother, is impacted by these things. And what to speak of heroin and hard drugs, right? So it might give an initial boost, but it's not something that's recommended. It's more of ignorance, and it's not. It leads to foolish activities and foolishness, because end of the day, you're committing. You're reducing your lifespan, and you're committing spiritual suicide, because it's animalistic life. No. Having said that, is anybody judging us for it? No. Please, let's understand, if we are in that situation, we have addiction to whatever, pornography or drugs or something else or something else or something else. It's not a judgmental system. That's not what Krishna consciousness is. The point is to stay in Krishna consciousness. And as you get attached to Krishna, as you stay in the process, like many of you have asked me separately, that Prabhu, what do I do? How do I become more Krishna conscious? How do I detach myself from this envious tendency, that, and I keep saying the same thing. Just stay in the process. Attend Philosophy Friday, apply what you're learning at Philosophy Friday, chant every day, eat prasadam whenever you are cooking, right? Be in the process. Automatically you'll see the difference happening. Now it might not happen overnight, because our intensity is less. For example, I'm speaking now, but many of you are probably on your phone reading something else while you're listening to me, right? So if the intensity is less, you can't expect the same level of efficacy, right? Efficacy happens when intensity is high. Like when I remember I was at eating prasadam from Varadaraj Swami, and the eagerness with which I was having the dates and the tulsi, I was like, whoa, this is Varadaraj Swami's prasad, because I've heard so much about him and his pastimes. I was like, and then I was asking myself, every day I eat prasadam, but I don't have this kind of eagerness. But it's because it's Varadaraj Swami, I'm just going nuts over, the prasadam. So I should have this eagerness every day, that, my dear Krishna, this is from your plate, to my plate. This is your saliva. This is, this is so special, right? If that intensity is there, imagine the kind of impact that prasadam will have on our consciousness, right? So imagine if you're chanting like, whoa, Krishna's words is not different from Krishna. Krishna is right here on my tongue, dancing on my tongue. The kind of intensity we would have, right? And the kind of impact that would have in our consciousness, how quickly we will progress in our Krishna consciousness. So the progress is not fast or slow based on our intensity. But if we are intense, you will see massive changes happening overnight, right? Srila Prabhupada's time, he would just look at people and say, LSD is not very nice habit. And boom, they will just give up LSD. They wouldn't be able to give up drugs. And that's the power. Of course, Prabhupada was a pure devotee, and the devotees had great, reverence for Srila Prabhupada. And as a result, they would not have to go through 12-step process, Alcoholics Anonymous, and all of these therapies and drug houses and all of that. It's just Srila Prabhupada would say, and they would be out, right? Not everyone, but many people, this happened. So in our intensity leads to our transformation of the heart, right? How intensely we are listening, how intensely we are practicing, how intensely we are doing our activities and sadhana. That has its impact. All right. Now, moving. Any questions so far? Oh, Prayash has his hands raised. Sorry, go ahead, Prayash.
Prabhuji, there are some influencers, I won't name them, but then their foundation are in Krishna consciousness. But then when they are influencing people, they don't mention the name of Krishna or Bhagavad Gita and their foundation, where all their knowledge come from. And sometimes they speculate and stuff like that. So what do you think, Prabhuji? Like, should we follow them, or are they good? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Let's not find faults in anywhere. So Jay Shetty, for example, he is under the guidance of Radhanath Maharaj. Yeah, he is dealing with, a very broad audience, a Western audience, and it's hard, right? People judge you for religiosity, so you have to be very sensitive and tender when you're dealing with that kind of audience. In India, it's even an atheist has heard of Krishna, at least knows and has some reverence, if nothing at all. Not all of them, but some of them. But in the Western world, it's like, huh, what? Right? In my college, I was shocked when I saw kids are just putting their feet up facing the professor, right? They're sitting in their classrooms with the feet up on the desk facing the professor, showing their lotus feet to the professor. Like, what? This is how can this be? But that's how it is. Nobody cares. You call your professor by their first name, right? So in that kind of situation, it is sometimes required to dilute things without changing the philosophy. Right? If one is speculating, yeah, that's a different story. But it's not our place to judge. Who are we to judge? Right? We have our source of knowledge. We have our Bhagavad Gita as it is. We have our mentor. We have our Srila Prabhupada. So we are getting our nourishment. And other people are doing it in their way. We can appreciate that, hey, you know what? You're doing it your way. I will do it in my way. So I personally wear Kanchimala. I am openly a devotee. I am very open about my Krishna consciousness. Wherever I go, I'm, my managers make sure that there is no onion, garlic, and things like that. So in my case, I'm very open about it. But then there are others who are not. And it's their choice, and it's their audience also for which they do what they do. So we don't have to judge them, but we can always make a choice how we share Krishna consciousness. Does that answer your question, Prash?
Yes, Prabhuji, that answers. So it's just in Kali Yuga, like you have to make best out of every situation, and they are doing it in their way.
Yeah, and it's also, you do high ticket sales and marketing. So understand, in marketing, you have to build the trust first. There's awareness, there's trust development, then there's loyalty, and then there's conversion, right? So in that awareness phase, what you see on YouTube, what you see on Instagram, that's the awareness phase. And that's when you're building on the logical brain, the intellectual brain. You don't talk about the things that logically makes no sense. For example, we don't talk about the Bhagavatam stuff when we're on social media. That's why all these Philosophy Friday lectures, I've kept them unlisted, because they're not public knowledge, because people might not appreciate everything they hear. It's not for awareness. But if you see my Bhagavad Gita summaries of chapters, they are very much on the logical platform, on the superficial platform. They're attractive, right? And there's no dilution. So there's the awareness. If people ask for more, many people have, and then I bring them to Philosophy Friday, where it's more deeper. So there's levels of the funnel that one goes through in the preaching process. Okay, doing 16 rounds, can it build? Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhuji, it reminds me of like how Prabhupada went into New York and just convert. I mean, it's not conversion. Like he helped hippies with let's say Krishna consciousness, and then they wanted to explore more, and then he gave philosophies. I
The
feel
philosophy was there from day one. The rules he didn't give for the first 9 to 10 months. Prabhupada
yes.
didn't give any rules. And when somebody asked, do you have any rules in your religion? I was like, you have so many rules, you'll faint.
Yes,
And then he started giving the 4 regulative principles and other things. But yeah, for the first 8 to 10 months, there was nothing that he gave in terms of rules. He was not even, he asked them to do any service. He was cleaning the plates. He was cooking for the devotees, being a 70-year-old man with 3 heart attacks. But yeah, eventually, as people showed more interest, Prabhupada gave more. And that's the process, honestly. And he was criticized by his god brothers, actually. Oh, you're too light on your devotees. Oh, your disciples don't know manners. Oh, your disciples don't know Sanskrit. Oh, your disciples don't know so many things. And Prabhupada said, yes, they are lectures and they don't know a lot of things. But their perfection is that they will do whatever their guru asks them. And that is their perfection, right? They're trying. If I'm saying read my books, they don't understand my Bengali accent, still they're trying to understand my lecture. They hear my recordings, they're trying. Their sincerity is their purity, and Krishna will help them, right? That's how it is.
Prabhupada understood funnels.
Oh.
He was genius, actually.
Absolutely. Okay, Akshat Prabhu is saying doing 16 rounds, can it build intensity? Absolutely. But how you do the 16 rounds? There are devotees who do shnika shnika vroom vroom, right? Uh, it's a joke within this card. Like, there will right? So are you really chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare? Or is it like right? So a lot of devotees chant like that. Does Krishna know you're chanting Krishna's name? Yes. But are you paying attention to the holy name? Can you do more? Yes. So to the degree you pay attention to each syllable of the 16 syllable Mahamantra, to that degree, you're intense, right? There are people who chant with such intensity, they enter Radha Krishna's pastimes, right? Rupa Goswami used to chant in such a way that he would be seeing Radha and Krishna. He'd be part of their Leela. So, and when we chat, we are like looking at our phone and falling asleep, and there's so many things. So intensity, 16 rounds, fantastic. So there's quantity and there's quality. Both we have to aspire for. Quantity brings quality and quality brings quantity, right? When we qualitatively chant, we'll be like, you know what? Let me try 32 rounds once a month. Let me chant 64 rounds on Janmashtami, right? So that urge comes from within. Whereas we have no interest whatsoever. It's like, oh, somebody said I should chant. Seems like it's a yoga dharma. Many scriptures are pointing to this Mahamantra. Maybe it's good for me. Let me chant, right? That's also nice. It's called Namabhas. I mean, that's basically, it's a semblance of the holy name. It's not the real holy name. When we chant with faith, when we call out like a child calls out to, for his mother, Krishna, please pick me up. I'm drowning in this material ocean. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Like, we're really calling out, Krishna, my dear Lord Ram, please help me. That calling for help, that's intense. You chant like that, boy, oh boy, you will transform in leaps and bounds. People around you will transform in leaps and bounds. When I was chanting for my grandmother, it was something in my eyes, it was something amazing that, there were other patients in this particular hospital. When I went there, it was whole floor was full and I was chanting loudly. My grandmother was leaving her body, but the entire ward became empty. People got healed left, right, and center. And the nurses were like, this has never happened before. Whatever you're chanting, please keep chanting because it's helping people. Like, wow, right? And I was chanting with my heart and soul because I love my grandmother and I wanted her, to go back to Krishna. So I was really trying my best to chant nicely. But anyway, so if you do that kind of chanting, you will see the results are mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Yes, Shivani Mataji, go ahead. And after that, Aparna had her hands raised. Shivani Mataji, please unmute and ask what you want to ask.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji, how to find that anchor always to hold on?
You won't have it always. It's like Hanuman. Hanuman had to be reminded that he had powers. So it's Friday is for that. Philosophy Friday is that reminder that you have certain privileges and powers. So it will, throughout the week, you kind of like down. And Friday, hopefully it uplifts you, right? So anchor means it's there, but sometimes we don't realize, we forget because Maya is too much covering us. And then we come in contact with, Krishna's temple, Krishna's prasadam, Krishna's deity, or Krishna Katha, and the Cheto Darpana Marjanam, cleansing of the heart happens, and boom, we are again anchored to Krishna consciousness, feeling inspired and going forward with our sadhana, right? So that's why it is important to have these kinds of weekly sessions, these kinds of, at least once a month, go to the temple, be in touch with make devotee friends, right? So that these are different reminders to keep ourselves anchored and not get rusted, not get the anchor rusted or slip off, right? That's why the whole sadhana, the association, the temples, Prabhupada built this whole system so that we can always feel nourished in our Krishna consciousness and the anchor remains strongly plugged in.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Aparna?
Hare Krishna. I had a question related to chanting.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it is like Hari Nam, Jap, right? So, like for me, when I chant, I cannot concentrate that much. But when I actually sing, then I can actually concentrate it is just focused. So, is there a definite way, like someone has to chant, or like is it like what is the difference of japa and like or kirtan? Like what is the you know um I would say like is it like necessary to follow one way only?
So both, let me explain. Very nice question, very thoughtful question, Aparna. Uh, so japa is your personal one-on-one time with Krishna. It's you and Krishna and no one else. And Sankirtan is you being in Krishna's courtyard, spending more public time with Krishna. So when you're singing alone or singing with devotees, that's also nice. But japa is part of your sadhana. Like, for example, we shower once a day for sure. Sometimes if we're too sweaty or it's a hot summer day, we might shower 2 to 3 times. But the first shower of the day, that's an absolute cleanse. It's part of our cleansing of the body and mind part. That's very, very important. So it's kind of like that. Japa is recommended by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on beads, chanting, 108 times is one round. So he's been very, very clearly given. And each chanting, so there are 108 beads. Why? It represents 108 Upanishads. So when you're chanting one round even, you're getting a part of the realizations of reading 108 Upanishads. That's one round of chanting Hare Krishna. All right. So it's also said, with every bead, you're pulling Krishna closer. So the point is, it is a process where your touch, your hearing, your speaking, your sound, 3 senses, 3 out of the 5 senses are involved. And it's not only helping you, whoever is hearing that holy name they are also getting benefited. The mosquitoes, the bacteria, the germs, the spiders, whatever. Now, singing, it's more of a spiritual entertainment, but japa is part of the spiritual cultivation, cleansing of the heart. So japa is a sadhana. It's part of our sadhana. So it is hard because the mind is, for lifetimes and lifetimes, the mind is used to having its own, independence. And the mind is kind of like, I'm going to tell you what to do. It tells the intelligence what to do and the ego and whatnot. But why are we not able to focus? Because we are used to that system where the mind is in charge. But Krishna consciousness teaches us to reorient ourselves, where the true ego or the soul is dictating the intelligence that I want to go towards Krishna. The intelligence is dictating the mind. Mind, you're going to listen to me, not the other way around. And telling the mind, senses, you're going to do what I'm telling you to do. You're going to control the senses, right? So thereby this process, orientation, it's hard at the beginning. It's not easy, but it is required. Even if it seems difficult, try and Krishna will help you. Does that answer your question, Aparna?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure. Sumit Prabhu, and then I'll go back to Shivani.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. It was wonderful seeing you in Mayapur.
Yeah, same here, Prabhuji. Same experience. Prabhuji, I have one question like regarding anger. What if someone known to you is rubbing you on your wrong side, knowing that that is your weakness and that is actually triggering anger?
Well, if they have access over your anger, that means you have given the remote control of your life in their hands. So you need to tell yourself, have a conversation with your mind. I choose not to get angry. Although I know this person is here to irritate me, Sometimes people want to sabotage us. They want
Yes.
to showcase the bad side of us in front of other people so that people can see, oh, this person is so, and we feel, oh my God, how did I overreact? And it's important that we don't do that, right? So that's when we have a conversation with the mind. We're like, you know what? I choose not to get angry. I choose not to be infected or influenced by this person. And that requires something called the pause button, right? When this is happening, you're getting agitated, your heart is beating, you're breathing faster, pause.
Okay.
Think, breathe, chant, pray, and you will get the power to ignore this annoying person who's trying to, cause this thing, bring out this negative tendency in you.
Okay.
First thing is pause. Just break the circuit and half the work is done there. What happens is we go with the flow. Like you said this, and without this blink of an eyelid, I'll also do this to you. You did this, I do. So it's like, you know what? I'm a devotee. Let me pause. I'm in a certain situation. This is not the place to act or react. I will choose not to react. Slowly, it becomes practice. Initially, it's hard. You will slip and fall. It'll be less, and eventually you'll have some control over it. So it takes practice. But make sure every time you fail, you tell yourself, next time, make sure you do a little better than this time. So thereby, you're not punishing yourself, but you're also making a mental impression, a samskar, that next time this happens, I will perform better. And relive that in your mind, multiple times, kind of play that video in your mind, what you did, how you reacted, and how you could have not. And so next time when this happens, it will already, your mind will be trained to be a little better off and a little better off. And eventually people will be amazed. Wow, you are a true devotee. You don't react to such provocations.
Yes. Nice answer, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sure,
Thank you.
Prabhuji. Shivani Mataji had a question.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, how to encourage ourselves on one hand and not to get sense of pride on the another?
Very nice question. So encouragement is the fact that, hey, I'm fortunate that I have been given this gift of Krishna consciousness. There are billions of people out there who are suffering, who don't have any idea of what is truth, what is the goal of life, what is why things happen, how things happen. I have access to this knowledge. I'm very fortunate. Thank you, Krishna. So cultivate gratitude. When gratitude comes, then we feel humbly, not proud, but humbly, we feel grateful. At the same time, we are patting ourselves on the back like, wow, I'm so fortunate. This is amazing. I should not let this go away. Pride comes in when we compare ourselves. Look at those people and look at me. I'm better than others. Even Srimati Radharani thought, oh, we are the most fortunate gopis in the entire universe. Krishna is dancing with us. Krishna vanished. So it's important that pride comes when we compare, right? And it blinds us. Then we start, without even thinking, we start just comparing with any Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like, I'm better. And we lose mercy that way, right? Krishna's door closes when pride comes. Krishna really doesn't like pride. That's one thing I have personally seen. I get slapped right on my face when I get in the pride mode. Krishna is very kind. He slaps me and stops me. And I lose everything. I was like, wow, why am I not able to do these things? I can do them like the back of my head. Then I realized, oh, it's not me. It's Krishna's empowerment. I better acknowledge it, or else I have really nothing on my own. Right. So humility is reality of understanding Krishna is empowering. Like in Arjuna's case, when Krishna left this planet, he lost all his powers. He was bringing all these princesses from Dwarka, and some stupid, thugs. They were just dacoits. They were able to win over Arjuna. And he realized, how could I be defeated by just dacoits? And then he realized, oh my God, all this time it was Krishna who was empowering me. Wow. Right? So same way, as we come to bhakti, you'll see that there is a lot of things that are changing in your life. You are being empowered. And after a while, we forget. We think it's our karma. It's our own ability. And if we are if we are close enough in the bhakti circle, Krishna will slap us, or somebody will remind us, a friend or a devotee or a mentor or a guru will remind us, hey, it's not you, don't get puffed up. Krishna is empowering you, he can take it away also. Oh, yes, I should be careful. Does it make sense?
Prabhuji, you said that pride comes with comparison. When we compare ourselves, then what is the sense of that? I know this. Okay, I know this.
So let's not cultivate that sense. Better is to have the sense, I don't know, I want to know.
But that leads to discouragement also sometimes.
Why should it lead to discouragement? It should lead to more enthusiasm to learn. You know how Srimati Radharani thinks? She looks at all the gopis serving Krishna and she's like, man, they're serving him so nicely. This is so inspiring. I wish I could serve like them. Let me try more. Let me try harder. Let me try more with intensity. So it inspires her. That's not discouraging. So when you have, the desire to learn, then you know, I don't know, I want to know. So they both go together. I don't know. And the enthusiasm is, I want to know. Then it's not discouraging. It's actually eagerness for more and more and more and more. It's called spiritual greed. The Sanskrit word is laulyam, which is a very wonderful thing. Greed for Krishna Prasadam, greed for Charnamrit, greed for learning, greed for Krishna's pastimes. Very wonderful. So it should not discourage you. Discouragement means you should understand the understanding is material. In Krishna consciousness, you're only encouraged, right? The less you have, the more you want. I had this, taste of what it feels like to chant the holy name, purity. Oh, I want more. Narad Muni, in his past life, he was son of a maidservant. And there were these Bhakti Vedantas, great sages. So great sages, sannyasis, they don't travel for the 4 months of the rainy season. So these great sages, they find some shelter. So they found somebody's house to stay for 4 months. And as great sages do, as it stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that they discuss Krishna Katha, they discuss philosophy, and they inspire each other in the glories of the Lord. And little Narad Muni, in his past life, he was hearing these Bhaktivedantas speaking Krishna consciousness. And he was learning from them. And he was like wowed out by them. And his mother was a maidservant. So she was cooking and she was bringing in the plates of prasad. And he was helping his mother in serving these great Bhaktivedantas. And by doing that, in 4 months, he got purified. And shortly after, he lost his mother. And as a little child, he was looking for God, looking for Krishna. That I want to know. I've heard about God. I've heard about the Lord from the Supreme, these great Bhakti Vedantas, but I want to find them. I want to know more about you. And for a microsecond in his heart, Paramatma appeared and told him, gave him darshan and disappeared, basically encouraged him, right? That was enough inspiration for the rest of his life to want to see him again. And by his activities and everything, he became Narad Muni, who is a great, one of our acharyas in our disciplic succession. So like that, be inspired by the fact that I don't know enough, because there's a lot to be known. If you think that by just knowing Bhagavad Gita, you know a lot, try reading it again. You will realize how much you missed last time. Try reading it again. You realize, oh my God, there's so much more. Try reading it again. Oh my God, there's so much more. Every time you read, you'll realize how much more is there and how little you know. Right? And then you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, then you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, you read other scriptures and you'll realize, oh my God, everything is like an ocean. I know so little. So that is reality. It's not false humility that I don't know. We know, certainly we know more than the Mayavadis, we know more than the yogis, we know more than anybody, to be honest, right? Zakir Hussain, that fellow, that Muslim preacher, he brings in everybody and challenges them and defeats them, right? He brought in Shishi Ravi Shankar and defeated him publicly. And then ISKCON devotees, what Sadyasi asked, let me, debate with you and let's see how you defeat me. He said, I don't want to debate with ISKCON devotees, right? Because ISKCON devotees have the strong philosophy. So yes, we know. We definitely know, and we know better than most people. Having said that, there's a lot to be known. So let's not close the lid. Let's keep the heart open so that we can be a sponge and absorb as much knowledge as possible.
Okay.
Does it make sense, Shivani?
Yes, Prabhuji, I have to listen it once again so that it can be clear.
Sure. But just remember these 2 sentences. I don't know. I want to know.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji.
Always keep that in mind. So that way you stay humble, and the hunger for learning about Krishna consciousness and anything in life will be always there.
Okay, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, one more thing.
Sure.
Prabhuji, gratitude. Sometimes gratitude also. It's kind of ritual. Means at starting we pray gratitude.
It's not a
when
ritual.
we-
It's a feeling. It's a genuine, spontaneous feeling.
It becomes ritual after some.
It should not become ritual. We should maintain it such it doesn't become mechanistic.
Hmm.
For example, if you feel grateful to Srila Prabhupada, wow, he only slept 2 hours a day and he was translating these purports, all through the night. Wow. I'm so grateful, Prabhupada, even though you didn't know me. You did so much. You left such a treasure house for us. With heart attacks, you came to America so that the whole world could know about this. Wow. Like, that's gratitude. That's a feeling. So when there's no feeling, it's mechanistic and there's no value to it. I mean, there's some value to it, but so don't make it a ritual. Keep it a genuine feeling. If that feeling becomes ritualistic, meditate on the sacrifices of our acharyas, of those who are giving us Krishna consciousness. That will bring in gratitude.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Okay.
Prabhuji, who are into Advaita, they are purely say opposite of Krishna. I don't know why. Like I came across an acharya, he said, uttering Hare Krishna mantra makes no sense. How do a mantra will change you? Yeah, so please don't listen to people like that. He's not an acharya. He's just a foolish person who have not read the scriptures. And there are the spiritual marketplace is filled with foolish people like that. Krishna calls them mudha or dharma dhvajis. They take the flag of religion. They pretend to be religious minded and they have no idea. So anybody who talks against Bhagavad Gita or talks the opposite of what Bhagavad Gita is saying, please don't listen to them. It's not going to do you any good. It's harmful to your consciousness. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavatam that listening to such persons is like drinking milk that is touched by the fangs of a serpent. It is poison. So don't waste your time on such persons. Akshat Prabhu saying, thank you, Prabhuji. I will chant with intensity and I get sure. Ask that person to chant. All right. Okay. Anything else? I have 2 more minutes left. Any other questions? Sumit Prabhu is asking, spirituality is easy business in India to make fool of. Yes. It's so funny when I had that accident in Vrindavan. I had a couple of mentees with me. So they arranged for this palanquin to take me to Radha Rani's palace. And then as I was coming down from Radha Rani's palace, I have 3 garlands on my neck. I was on this palanquin with 3 people, moving people aside, 2 people carrying me. So I looked like a VIP. You won't believe me. People were actually thinking I'm a sadhu. And they were trying to touch my feet. Some people were taking out their wallet and putting money. I told them, please, I'm not, don't give me money. That's how, I'm like, this is how they fool people. Just people, there are 5 people around me. I'm on a palanquin wearing garlands with a tilak. They think I'm a sadhu. It's like, wow, this is how this works. It's 1,000 crores is the minimum you can make if you become a spiritual guru. So anyway, all right. Thank you very much. If there's no more questions, I'll end it here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Have a good night.
Hare Krishna. Thank
Hare
you, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.